To begin with, I mean, this is not an origin story,
Nope.
is it? So, I mean, was that quite nice that you didn't have that kind of obligation to build up the world and just you can just really sort of dive straight in some regards?
It was fantastic. I mean, I'm eternally grateful to the Russos for setting up Peter Parker in such a sort of elegant way in Civil War so that I could just make this movie and have a lot of fun with him.
I mean, it must have been quite surreal. I mean, to be involved in the MCU is incredible, and to be taking on the kind of task of directing a Spider-Man movie. I mean, that must have just been a remarkable experience for you.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, I have always loved watching the Marvel movies and the Spider-Man movies. So now, to get to sort of play around in my own corner of that sandbox was very fun.
And I mean, you're something of a guinea pig in the sense that you're the first director really to be doing this collaborative kind of Sony and MCU and Disney kind of co-production film. How did you find that? I mean, did you find that they all just wanted exactly the same thing, or did you have kind of slightly different requests from different studios in regards to the kind of tone and the character?
Well, I was very clear about how I saw the movie initially when I didn't have the job yet. You know, that was part of my pitch. And everyone was on board with that overall sort of tone and feeling. So I think for the most part, by being clear about that ahead of time, there weren't very many obstacles along the way.
Because I mean, people have always kind of cited as sort of Kevin Feige as just being one of those people that just gives his filmmakers so much freedom. Do you think that's partly why the MCU is as good as it is and the films are as good as they are, because the directors are allowed to stamp their own kind of artistic control over films?
Yeah, I mean, even having heard things like that going into it, I assumed there was going to be a point where I was going to hit some sort of wall or ceiling where someone was going to say, no, don't do that, or that's too weird or crazy or something. But I never reached that point. I mean, everything that I wanted to do, I got to do.
And so what's different about this Spider-Man, this reincarnation of Spider-Man, as opposed to the last two we've seen?
Well, the biggest difference is that Spider-Man isn't the only superhero in the world. He's now part of the Marvel Universe. And that's the way Spider-Man was always meant to be seen. I mean, when Stan Lee and Steve Ditko introduced Spider-Man in the 60s, it was to give a younger person's point of view on this world of superheroes that they had created. And that was a big part of the appeal of Spider-Man, and one of the things that immediately made him so iconic. So this is really the first time that we get to see Spider-Man the way he was meant to be seen.
Because it's true, because we adopt his perspective and he sees Iron Man as a celebrity in the same way we do, doesn't he? So I guess it's almost quite surprising that it's taken this long to have him sort of intertwine with other superheroes.
I know. It's the way the comics were always meant to be read. And now he's finally part of the bigger family that he was always meant to be, the wisecracking, teenager looking at this insane world. I always think back to one of the first things that he does in the comics is he tries to join the Fantastic Four, and they won't let him, and he gets into a fight with Johnny Storm. And I always thought that was like just such a great jumping off point, and I tried to embrace that when we were writing this story.
So what does Tom Holland bring to proceedings? Because I mean, for fans of so far, I've only seen him sort of a relatively brief snippet, but he looks like he's really got the character down to a T, really.
It's great. I mean, it's like he is Spider-Man. I mean, my favorite thing, other than his like amazing physicality and the fact that he can actually do so many of the stunts and so much of the physical behavior, is just his enthusiasm. One thing I wanted to make sure we captured in Homecoming was how exciting it would be to be 15 years old and to have these amazing powers, And Tom brings just like this irresistible enthusiasm to the character, and it's just really fun to watch.
So what do you think it is? Do you think that's what it is that makes the character being younger work? Because I mean, he's supposed to be, what is he, 15 in this movie? I mean,
he doesn't have his license.
I mean, so why do you think that's so important for this character that he is that age?
I mean, because I wanted the movie to be fun, and I wanted to, instead of immediately hitting people over the head with the weight and responsibility of what it means to be a superhero, which is a big part of the story, I wanted to start from a place of enthusiasm and excitement and fun. I want people to go to this movie to have a good time. And
one thing that fans always seem to care so much about is the outfit. So in this regard, I mean, I'm just wondering how involved, if at all, you were in the kind of design of Spider-Man's suit and what and if you could just sort of tell us briefly about what's changed about this, I suppose.
Well, the initial design, which was the one that they established in Civil War, was just as closely tied to the original Ditko drawings. You know, the shape of the eyes, the lines, the color balance. But on top of that, what I got to do is think about what else might be in there. Because this is a Tony Stark designed suit, and Tony is a very bells and whistles kind of guy. So you know that there's going to be more to it than you might necessarily realize at first. And more than Peter might even realize at first.
And talking of Tony Stark, I mean, I've obviously seen sort of moments in the film, and Robert Downey Jr. Does it get to a point when you just say to him, just be Robert Downey Jr. in this? Because that's what we like about
just
you.
Be Tony Stark. I mean, it almost felt like a documentary when he would show up. It's like, well, Iron Man is here, so we're going to shoot some scenes with Iron Man. I mean, but no, I mean, it's not just that he's being himself. He's he's crafted just this really amazing character in Tony Stark, and he's so open and free and just willing to go to fun, strange, unusual, surprising places. In the scenes that it's, as a director, you're just watching the monitor, like, smiling because you can't believe it, So I'm just so thankful.
Because I mean, even though you're the director of this, so obviously a professionalism comes into play, but did you even, when he sort of turns up and goes, that's Iron Man, that must have felt pretty cool when you saw him?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that at every moment, it's like, that's Iron Man, that's Beetlejuice, like, it was great.
Convincing Michael Keaton to play a character in a bird costume again, did that take some doing?
I think he appreciates the sort of meta humor to all that, but I mean, more than anything else, it was great to see him be a bad guy. I think you really enjoyed that. And who are your favourite villains? Who do you most sort of? Who are those that you'd love to see kind of explored in this franchise in the future? Oh man, well, there's so many. I've been more focused on the really dumb villains in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Like, there's some really, really silly ones. So I haven't put a lot of thought into which ones would be good. I've only really thought about which ones would be like so bad. Was there ever any consideration to involve Iron Spider at all in this movie? Well, in a way, the fact that the suit is built by Tony Stark is sort of an indirect inspiration from the Iron Spider suit, which is Tony Stark built in the comics. So we sort of use that as the jumping off point for all the bells and whistles that this suit could do. And just finally, obviously you sort of mentioned the Russo brothers earlier, they've really turned the Captain America kind of franchise into their own. I was wondering, is this one you'd like to sort of explore future? And there's going to be sequels and stuff. I mean, for me, it's one movie at a time, but I do feel like we are just scratching the surface of this world. I mean, finally Spider-Man is back in the world where he belongs, and there's a lot that we can do with that. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Yeah, thank you. Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!